Good evening, everyone. What I'm showing you here are two jars. One is filled with oats, the other with both brown and black rice. I've then added distilled water to each of them. What I'm doing here is just stick blending them. It just breaks them up to give them more surface area so that I can make oat milk and rice milk. The fantastic thing about these is that they are both fantastic for the skin. The oat milk will serve as the liquid in the soap that I'm about to make. So I just thought I would show you just for a moment here the process that I use to make my oat milk and my rice milk. I refrigerate these for about 3 days after I do this process. I simply put some cheesecloth or gauze over the top and a rubber band and put them in the fridge. And then after about 3 days, take them out and they're ready to use. And that's what I did for this particular soap. Here I'm just showing how I put the gauze over them and then just a simple rubber band. And then I just stick them in the fridge. Pretty simple, huh? So here I have my oat milk and my lye. Over to the left there you see my fragrances, which are, I almost forgot, green tea and pear. Here I have my matcha tea powder. And once I mix my oils and my oat milk and lye, I will then separate it into the green there as well. Now, one thing I failed to mention is that also in with the oat milk is some sea salt. That's just to create a harder bar. And a tablespoon of titanium dioxide. I just wanted the base color to be light. And that's the only colorant that is in this. Well, the matcha tea itself, of course, will be the green. And this really did stay very nice and liquid. And this is my regular soap mixture. Coconut oil, olive oil. I have avocado oil, cocoa butter, and castor oil in this recipe. I really like using oat milk. But sometimes it can speed trace. So this I made sure I double filtered it. Because if you let in too many of the oat particles in, it can accelerate trace, make for a much thicker batter. And I wanted this to stay workable. Which ultimately didn't really matter. And you'll see here in a moment, I'm going to be showing you a new technique I was trying. But it failed because I have a house guest who walked up behind me while I was soaping and caused me to make a boo-boo. So I had to cover it up, and this doesn't turn out being that unusual a loaf of soap. So there I've laid down the first white layer, and I'm going to let that set up for just a few moments. And then I will be laying down a line of green down the middle. This is a canning funnel. I took one of these small plastic containers and just set it in the bottom of the canning funnel and poked a hole in the bottom of it. And I found that this sits right on top of this mold so that I can pour the soap down that little hole and just move it back and forth along the center. That was the idea. So I'm going to show that to you now. So everything started out great. This stayed in the center the way I wanted it to. No problem at all. And then, I think it was on this next pass, I hear something behind me that startles me, and I stopped and I turned around. And that was my mistake, because when I quit paying attention, I moved the funnel over to the side, and you can see I then dripped my lovely center pattern over the sides. And I was so upset about this, but I didn't let my guest know this. I just thought, okay, I'll do this on another batch. So on this one, I'm just going to pour a green layer and call it a day. So what I did is I just went ahead and poured the green layer over the entire top. I saved a little there to put on the very top. So this wasn't what I had planned to begin with, but as we learn in soaping, you persist and you move on, which is exactly what I decided to do. So here I'm just pouring a layer of the white. And I'm just trying to keep it from breaking through. Because at this point I decided, well, I'll do a hanger swirl. Because as many of us in soaping have learned, when life gives you lemons, make soap out of it. So it's now thickened up. The green that I left over has set for a while and got a little thick. But I just decided I was just going to dollop a little bit on top and just do some very mild swirling. And one thing I want to apologize to you for is the weird white levels. I realize how washed out that looks and difficult to see. I think I have figured out with my camera what's causing that. It's the EV levels. Don't ask me what that is, but I was playing with them tonight and found what I think is a more natural looking setting. So in my next video, I hope you're going to see quite of an improvement. So yeah, I just did some swirling action a bit here with the chopstick. This was kind of like rearranging the furniture on the Titanic. Not that the soap's a fail. I'm not unhappy with how it turned out. It just wasn't what I was going for, which happens to me more often than not. And again, see how washed out this is? I didn't realize this when I was filming it. And I went ahead and just uploaded this just so you could actually see the soaps. And it didn't turn out terrible. It smells wonderful and it looks really nice in person. It just doesn't translate well in this video. So they came out rather sedate. There's not a lot of interest here. There are some nice swirls, a few patterns in there, but it kind of looks like a test pattern to me, or a graph. But it smells wonderful, and it's going to be so luxurious that oat milk will just be so soothing on the skin. along with those wonderful oils and butters. It's super fatted at about 8%, so it's going to be a really luxurious bar of soap. And these will be in my Etsy store in probably about 4 to 5 weeks. Again, I want to thank you all for your patronage. I'm so glad that you've joined. Every day I see a few new members, and I'm so happy to see you here. You've become like a little virtual family, and I'm just very happy to have you here.